Hey, Grande Alive, this is Coffee with Will, brought to you by Northwest Furniture and Mattress, Grand Ron Hospital, anythingtodigital.com, and See Bright Dentistry. And I'm here today with Melinda Wells, who is a local women's, what would you even call it? Women's proponent, someone who works for women in La Grande, in the Grand Ron Valley, and nationally also, like not just in La Grande, but also nationally. She participates in the Seroptimist Club here in La Grande, and she also owns and operates her own financial advising clinic, right?
Yes.
Yes. So she's here to talk to me a little bit about herself and also about women. So thank you so much for joining me today.
Yes, thank you. Glad to be here.
So tell me a little bit about yourself and how you came to the Valley and what got you involved with Seroptimist. And also, there's a word that I'm looking for, and it's going to drive me crazy, and it means like, and maybe you can help me out, like making a fool of myself on my own show. It's the English major. It means like doing something for, promoting for, interceding for. Activism. A women's activist.
Okay.
Well, there we go.
That's interesting. I would not necessarily coin myself in that way, but I feel like it's a positive.
So what would you call yourself then? What is your relation? A humanist. Also a very interesting term.
Okay. Yes. Yeah, I am a woman, and I am actively and proudly a member of our Seroptimist Club, which is an international organization to benefit the rights of women and children. But I am also a wife and a business owner, and very much aware that men are just as important to our lives and our world as women are. So
so here's the big question. So in La Grande, or in the world right now, we are experiencing a lot of questions about what it means to be a woman, what defines a woman, and we just had this conversation where I called you a woman's activist, but you retorted by saying, I do participate in women's awareness, but I'm also a wife, I am also a business owner. So this idea of being a woman's activist and being a woman is only part of your identity, which makes you as a person. So I'm wondering, what is your take, and I know I totally jumped the gun on this, what is your sort of take on some of the events that have been happening, the Women's March in the world, and the inauguration of Donald Trump, and the place of women in the world right now, coming from someone who spends her volunteer time being a promoter, or whatever you want to call it, for women in a small town.
Yeah, it's very interesting, and without getting heavily political, because I think that we are so blessed to live in a country where we have the right to say and mostly do whatever it is that we want to do.
Well, if we had the right to do whatever we wanted to do, that might not be the best thing, but
for the most part,
For the most part,
we do, and I think that gets forgotten sometimes. But I also think that we have become so free in how we are able to speak that we are losing the common courtesy and respect factor that should be involved in any type of engagement. It also seems like we are so divided that we're not allowing ourselves the opportunity to learn something from someone else by truly engaging in active listening and trying to understand perspective. Instead, we're so focused on getting our own points across that's kind of getting lost in the shuffle.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I am a mother of 2 young men, and so it's important to me that men are also just as highly respected and supported as women are. From the Seroptimist standpoint, we focus on empowerment via education. So women typically and historically haven't had the same rights and access to education as men.
Absolutely.
So that is really where our club comes from. And just in the last, 50 years or so, where we've seen lack of education, not enabling women to be supportive, be supporting families because of the higher rates of divorce and things. That's an important factor. I personally was raised by a single mom, and so that is what is one of the motivators for me personally and what I do at the club, but also professionally in my financial advising position to educate and empower not only women, but all human beings.
Absolutely.
About how to financially provide security for themselves and their families.
Absolutely. So I saw an interesting post on Facebook earlier, being the good worker that I am, being on Facebook at work. Fortunately, I get paid. Fortunately, I get paid to be on Facebook. It's part of my job. And it said something along the lines of, if we're going to force women to not have abortions, then we should also force men to stay with their wives when they get, or their girlfriends or whatever, when they get them pregnant. And while I'm not necessarily saying that I am pro-abortion, the principle is kind of an interesting, it's an interesting summation of a principle that is oftentimes overlooked, where a woman, when she gets pregnant, it takes two to tango, and whereas a woman can't escape, she can't just leave and the baby just be there, a man can just walk away,
Exactly.
So there's another level of responsibility that is being shortchanged here, which is the male responsibility. And while the males have that ability to walk away, the women don't. So the question of these women's rights and the women's movement is inextricably sort of tied in with male responsibility and what a man is supposed to do and what a man feels responsibility for. And being, like you said, a mother of two sons and the daughter of a single mother, you said? That's also another aspect of this whole thing. So you really can't escape the question of how men and women fit together, even if you're just talking about women.
Absolutely.
So I guess my question for you would be is, how do we talk about women but also talk about men in the process? And what's your take on that?
Yeah, I really think it all goes back to the home, what people talk about around the kitchen table. It's about having that time with your family and really setting your own moral compass inside of your house. I don't think that there is one size fits all for everyone, and I don't certainly want to be the judge of what other people do. I don't want other people to judge me as well, but that's where having an open and honest, respectful dialogue about these things is important. I don't necessarily want to air my personal views to the world, but having your male children be just as responsible for their choices as much as your female children is really important and absolutely critical.
Absolutely. So talk to me a little bit about Seroptimist and what kind of services you offer to women and children.
Okay. Well, here in our Grande club, we do several things locally. Our biggest fundraiser of the year is our Festival of Trees, and this last year we had our most successful year ever. And with a new program at the Friday night gala, we were able to raise over $16,000 specifically for scholarships in our community. So we are right now in the process of, we've opened up the applications. That is on our website, legrandeseroptimist.org, and you can also access via our Facebook page.
Which, if you haven't seen, we just did a feature on the Grande Seroptimist Club and their scholarships on thegrandealive.tv, so you should check that out.
Yeah. So that's very exciting because all those dollars are going to come right back to Union County residents. This year we have opened one of the awards up to not only women but also to men applicants, and that is for our technical program. So whether it is lineman school or medical transcription, culinary school, is that how you say it? Culinary?
Culinary, I think.
Yes. Those types of schools that are technical, because we realize that if a man has a family wage job, he is going to be able to support women and children in his life. So that is just as important as scholarship
Giving
proceeds
money
for
directly
women.
over to the women.
Yeah. So the Festival of Trees is our biggest fundraiser. Then also, in addition to the scholarships, then we also award community grants. In the past, we fund Kids Club, CASA, a multitude of local agencies and organizations that benefit the entire community. And the third grade swim program is one that most everyone's kids have been involved in at some point.
So you guys put that on?
So we are the sponsor
Oh, wow,
of
very cool.
that. So that happens every year, and we're very excited how that has a huge ramification effect. Then we also do a program called Boots and Socks, that in the fall we provide new or gently used boots and a couple of pairs of socks to children and some adults as needed. And that program has grown tremendously, and we're always looking for additional support and recycling of those kids' boots and even adults as need be, because that's definitely a need, as we can see this year, for sure.
Yeah, it's been a little chilly this year.
Yes. And then we have a few other local outlets for help. So again, check out our Facebook page and our website to get more information about us. But the club has been in La Grande for over 70 years, I think.
And it's a worldwide
and
club
it is
as well.
Yes, it
Correct?
is a worldwide organization, over 100,000 members in 60 countries around the world. And it's incredible to know that we are, putting boots on kids' feet here in Grande, in our area. And then in Africa, they're, giving clean water and real life-saving assistance to people over there. So it's exciting.
Absolutely. So, I had a question in my brain, and then it just went, like I was listening, and then I had a question. Oh, that's what it was. So, it sounds like a lot of the Seroptimists sort of things are oriented around education and practical supplies and that kind of a thing. What's the importance of educating women in your brain?
Yeah, that's a great question. So women specifically, because as we were speaking about pregnancy and child rearing, are the nurturers generally of the family. So that has a tendency to take them out of the workplace or remove them from professional opportunities.
Yeah.
But there's also the fact that women have generally been more, what's the word? I don't want to say abused, but
Well, you can probably say abused.
Okay,
I mean,
all right.
there is a history
Yeah,
of
right.
women being either discriminated against or even downright abused.
Right,
I mean, there are
right.
certainly a lot more domestic cases of women with women involved than there are men with men.
Right, right, exactly. And so when a woman is empowered with education and supported to know that she has opportunities outside of the home where maybe she is not being treated respectfully or safely, it's an opportunity for her to rise out of that situation. And so that's really important. And to just have her have the same opportunities that anyone else would, male or female.
I think it's interesting that there's a level to which education provides even the knowledge that there could be something better. It provides hope. It provides something that, someone who is in an abusive relationship, their parents might have been abusive, their father might have been abusive of their mother, and so that might simply sort of make them feel that this is all that exists. This is all that exists. Like the male is abusive toward the female, and my husband is abusive toward me, and that's all that exists. So, an education might open up her mind, being like, oh, maybe this isn't how this is supposed to be, and this isn't how it has to be.
Exactly. Yeah. Seroptimus International, the headquarters, came out with a program a few years ago called Dream It, Be It. And it's specifically around mentoring, and it's catered toward younger girls. In our area, we include boys as well, but targeted to the 6th to 8th grade period of time, because statistically, that is when that early puberty stage comes on, where kids go from being children to growing into adults, and they start to model behaviors that they've seen in the home. And yes, like you said, sometimes what they're seeing at home is
not good,
not the optimum. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So we've started working with that a few years ago and showing these kids different professional careers that are available, and not specifically only that you have to attend a 4-year college after high school in order to be successful, that there are lots of opportunities out there to figure out what it is that you enjoy doing, and to achieve that goal and reach that dream. But we tell girls that they can be anything they want to be in the world, but then we don't necessarily take the steps to show them how to get there. So there's a gap, and that's what we're trying to work toward filling and showing by mentoring and supporting and education.
So you guys sort of see yourselves as the practical side of the empowerment of women. There's the ideological, which is you could be anything you want to be, girl. You can be an astronaut, you can be whatever, but sometimes there's not always the steps to be able to get from point A to point B to point F,
Yes.
And so you guys kind of come in and step in and actually help them to get from point A to point B, or point D to point 7, or whatever steps that they're on, so they can continue on into the future.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, all right then. Cool. So do you have anything else? I think we're kind of coming up on our time here. Do you have anything else that you want to add about promoting? How can we help? How can the world help to essentially, because I was thinking about this earlier as I was writing my news-ish script. I really like women, and I think they should stick around. There's a lot of, if I didn't have the women in my life, I would be a much different person, and not in a good way. So how can we who like women and want them to stay around help to sort of, help them and to get them to a place of being able to pursue their dreams and their hearts?
Well, I think biologically, none of us would be around if it wasn't for women. So
Very
you have
true.
to remember that point, both men and women.
Yes.
And that's the thing. It's finding that balance. But I am a firm believer that it all starts at home, and making sure that what your values are spoken about, and time is spent really putting that into your own family, your own backyard, before you look to help the world. And I know that there's a lot of very, very dedicated, busy moms out there today, thinking that by running their kids to dance and swim and football and volleyball and all of these activities that their kids want to participate, that's how they're being the best parent they can be. And that's certainly a part of it. But there also needs to be a balance with time at home and time spent talking about values and really important things that kids need to be secure in before they get out into the big wide world. So that would be my big key, is just make sure that, you take the time that you need with your own family before you go out and try to change the world. Make sure that things are good in your own backyard.
Oh, what is the great, the Hippocrates, doctor, fix thyself. And then, then there's a great quote in the Confucian Analects, of which I'm a big fan, that says, if you want to change the country, change the city. Or if you want to change the planet, change the country. If you want to change the country, change the city. If you want to change the city, change the family. If you want to change the family, change yourself. If you want to change yourself, change your heart or your mind. If you want to change your mind, change your heart. It all comes down to the individual and starting right where you're at. So I totally agree with you.
Yes, very much.
So thank you so much for joining me here
Yes,
today. It was
thank
great
you.
chatting with you
You
2
too.
days in a row. I know you're probably sick of talking about women at this point. Well, thank you, Grande Alive, for joining us here today. This has been Coffee with Will and Melinda Wells, brought to you by Northwest Furniture and Mattress, Grand Ron Hospital, anythingtodigital.com, and See Bright Dentistry. If you like this video, please like and share it, and tune in for more local content.